Okay, so let's go to the next. So on QA, I have a few questions too, which I will just ask myself, like, how can I run my own checks, my own advisor? How do I know my colleagues and I follow the same standards? Do I use deprecated Apex features in my app? And how secure is my app? So those are questions that I sometimes ask myself, or that we get asked, like how to do certain things. So let's go into like another area of Ape, and this is called quality assurance. And this is, you find that here. So when you go to quality assurance, there are a few things here. So we have a rule repository. And in this rule repository, you can basically create your own rules. So, and those rules can be security related. It can be best practices. It can be checking on errors, consistency, UI. Like you can add any category you like, and you basically build up your rule. So let's look at a rule, like what was it, page groups or something. Page. So page should be assigned to a page group. So I validated this rule. So let's look at how did
validated.
Violated? Did I say validated?
Yeah.
Okay, I violated the rule. But so the first thing is we have to define the rules. So how do we define the rules? And this is the first iteration of our quality assurance. And in this first iteration, you basically say, okay, what is the, well, let me create a new rule. So add new rule. So component type, like you say to which component does this belong to? So let's say pages. And then we basically pre-populate from the Apex dictionary where you find that component. And it's not 100%, but you can see like this is application page regions. And we know that this is only for really seasoned developers who understand SQL and a bit of the metadata. But this is the first version that we are doing. In Ape, we ship many rules which you can customize. So, but I'm just creating now a new rule. So we say component type, pages, name, we can give it a name. And then we have the category. And those categories you can administer if you want different categories. But, and then which Apex version. You can define the Apex version because some rules might not be valid in different. For example, if you want to check for deprecated features, nobody should use Apex util dot whatever. So a string to table, like nobody should use that. So we can check only on Apex 20.2 and higher, for example. So we would define the select statement, which would basically, so how to write your SQL rule. We would need to have like component ID, but let me open the rule now because it will be a bit easier. So here you see the component ID, you see an owner and additional comment. So here it explains what those things mean. Basically, this is the message that we want to show. And then what do we expect? Like we can validate the SQL that we entered here. Like this is not a valid SQL, right? So I can validate the SQL if it is valid. Okay, last validation. Then we can have bind variables to it. And we can have some default text like which error should be the justification. Why do we want this rule? And how do we fix it? So we basically, you can copy the rule, you can create a rule. We ship many rules, which you can start from. So this is one of them. So this is our rule repository. Next, we have quality standards. So we have a repository of rules, and then you say we want to have a standard for electrotest for this project but my project might have different standards than the United Codes standards, or Alex might have different standards with his customer. So this is why we have a rule repository, but we have quality standards. So we say the United Codes example rule set exists out of those rules. And then we give a severity to it. So here we basically have those rules. So if I would go to electrotest standards, so 48 rules we have in here. And I think the page group, yeah. So this page is rule is in here too. I can click on it. I can see the rule again. So you build up add rule with the wizard. You can import rules. So for example, like we imported from a customer the rules that they created. And this is one of the things we want to do. Like we want, like with the Apex version, it tells you like, hey, there's a patch available. We want to say like, hey, we define some new rules. Do you want to import them? So, but for now, it's just import export. So you can ask us, hey, do you have a new rule set? We can send you a file. Like I can export this rule set. It's just a JSON file, and we can import the rule set. So, okay, so we define the quality standards for this project, and then we are going to do an assessment. So now we are going to say, okay, I'm going to say electrotest standard. I'm going to check those quality standards against, I define a scope, and my scope is like this application. Where's my application? This one, page group. I didn't have a page group. Do we have unassigned? I don't know. No, we don't have that. So I'm not going to define a page group. I could do it for all the pages, or I can just say like, oh, my page. Wow, you're so smart. Okay, so add scope, and we run this QA. Your QA assessment, invalid rules. Oh, okay, let me just do run. So we just show what we are going to do. Select a scope, page 24, selected rules, all those rules that are defined here. So 48 rules will be, we check here if some rules are valid or not valid. So all rules are valid. And then it's going to now run this. But there are 48 rules to check against this page. So this one might take a while, because I might have validated more rules.
Yeah, the sun is in my eyes. I'm shining.
So the idea we have here is that we can run those overnight. So like, for example, the issue, for example, with the advisor is you cannot have your own rules. So those are predefined by Apex team. You cannot schedule those. So with our own rules, we can do all that. And then in the next iteration of this quality assurance module of Ape will have more a builder-like interface, where you can say, I want to have those like page group should be this value, like a very like what you see is what you get. Okay, so quality assessment finished. I have 7 issues on just one page. So what did I validate? Page should have authorization scheme. Okay, I made a mistake there. Region with standard template should have no padding. So here we're checking on template options. And page should be assigned to a page group. So what I can do now is I can say, well, this is a special page because the page was created by me. I will add an exception. And I'm the CEO, forget about this. Whatever, right? Like add to exception list. So now this rule will not, is okay. But the other things I should fix. So I know can click here and click fix, and it will bring me to that page. And then now I can say, okay, this page should be like is authorized. What time is it? 5:30. Okay, I don't think people are working. So yeah, and that's it basically. This is the quality assurance module in a short way.
You can also see which checks are disabled for. Do you have an overview of that? That you can say, okay, I'm going to run a check, and there is a check that which checks have been disabled. Is there an overview of that? Or? Okay.
Yeah, well, yes, but let me see, like best practices. So those are, you cannot really see it here, but when you click here, it should give you the selected standards.
Mm-hmm.
You can click on the standards. So it says a total of 48 rules. And here you see the rules that are defined. So if I remove that, there should be 48 rules. So at the moment, I don't think there are any disabled.
No, but I think what he meant is you just said disable this
For this page.
this rule.
Oh, the
Is there an
exception list.
overview of the exceptions?
Oh, I don't know that by heart.
Because it can be, it could be even on an item that you say, well, okay, but for this item we don't want to run this check here. But then in a later stage you want to know which one you exclude.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see.
Yeah.
Here, manage actions, manage exception list.
Okay, yeah.
So I can click here and now I can see like, and I should create it by me.
Yeah.
I'm the CEO.
There you are. Yeah.
So I excluded that. So I can remove it, right? This is not, that shouldn't be on the exception.
Just write CEO.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we have that purge assessment from history. So we can also keep a history of the runs. But yeah, that's in short quality assurance.
So I think this list of you're not adhering to the standards is very useful in that second screen.
I agree.
Yeah.
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 So this is one of the things where we have been doubting about 3 ways of showing you the exception list. Like one is in the second screen. The other one is we created a plugin, like a region plugin, which you put on page 0. And whenever you run the page, it will show up. Like if you are a developer, it will basically show up here at the bottom if this page invalidates as invalidated items. So that was a second thing. And the third was like a browser extension which fits straight in the builder. So when you're actually in the app builder, you would get something here. Like, so I don't know if you use this sometimes, like the Apex team sometimes adds like something here when there's, for example, feedback or like it will show like something here. So we thought like one other option would be to have an eye here with like some things which you can open. So there were 3 things that are currently on our trial list for the next version. We will pick one of those But for now, what you can actually do, and you can just send us an email. Some customers already do it, and it's just having a region on page 0, and we give you the select statement that you basically have to run, and then it will show. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't repeat the question, but what was the question, Alex?
Suggestion.
Suggestion.
To put the list of when you're not adhering to the standards in the,
Yeah.
on the second screen.
So the question is like, is there a better way to or show this on the second screen or on a different somewhere? Yeah. So yeah, it's very good. Any other question on QA or online?
No, not online yet.
Okay, good. Like we will see when it comes in. Let me move on to the next section, documentation. I don't like to write the documentation. I like to document while I code. And I find every developer should document their stuff. If you tell people that they have to follow certain rules, for example, Java doc notation or natural language doc notation in your PL/SQL code, or use the help or comments in your Apex pages, we should generate the documentation automatically. So this is what we built. This was actually the first thing where we wanted to use Ape for. So what is the fastest way to give my customer technical documentation? How do I let my end users update the help of the pages? We already saw that. Where can I find documentation? So all those questions, if you follow a few rules, what you can do is you can go into your app. Of course, Ape is your documentation already, because just by installing Ape, I can see from any application, like all the pages that are in, I get more information. But when you click on here, documentation, we will actually show you way more information. So if you follow those rules, Java doc or natural language, was it natural doc or something like that, you can click on your packages. You see the database objects that you have. You see, I'll go into the table in a minute. It'll lose my connection. So I should see here the documentation of my packages. So I'll use this package. I don't know why it takes so long. Well, let me open a second tab. Okay, let's first open a table then. If I open this table. So here, like I get information of this table, and in Ape you can enter comments on the columns. So those would appear here if you did that. Then I get like component dependencies. We get object dependencies, the constraints on this table. Indexes, relationships on this table. So, and you didn't have to do anything for this. Like this is just coming out of the data dictionary. Here is the AOP API package. So if you follow certain rules, then it generates basically like all this. We have a lot of, yeah, this is a big package here. But if I would scroll down a little bit, like here, I would get, okay, there's an AOP debug package in here with those parameters, some example, which you can just copy paste. If I would go to AOP PL/SQL package, let me just scroll down a little bit. Oh, so PL/SQL call to AOP. So here's the description, the author created when. This is the syntax of this. This is the parameter with some description that we have. And then here's an example. So, and I can do the same with, so we try to follow this now. So in our company, we say, okay, you have to follow this standard. So Bartosz, for example, he built this package. And we get here like, okay, this is the what is the procedure? The parameters of the procedure, an example. So see, so, and you don't have to do anything for it. Like we generate this for you. The same with the pages. So you can click on, so by page group, you can click on a page. Well, maybe I should take another page. Well, you already see it, but so the feedback page, there's no page help. There's some general information, the page components on this, the regions, the items, buttons, processes used. If you have dynamic actions on the page, it's showing like this. Object dependencies, statistics, if there are statistics. So if I would take inspections, here's a bit more statistics on this page. So how fast is this page? I think it looks okay. Weighted performance 1.34. Okay, it's less than 2, but it's not great. So you see, and so now, well, of course, like we have AOP2, and what we can do is we can generate this entire documentation in a PDF, and we're done. Like, so it's completely, documentation is being generated for you. I didn't, so here it tells you like you have to configure AOP because this is a different product, so I didn't do it here. But basically at the bottom, you will get a print button, and then you can select even your own template, and it prints the documentation. Okay. So if you don't like to write documentation, this will help tremendous. Questions? Alex likes.
He gets it from the code.
He gets it from the code. So if I would look in this AOP package, for example, so AOP API. So here, like you see, we use some comments here, but if I would go to PLSQL, AOP. PLSQL call. Why don't? Oh, sorry. I'm in the replace. This is my issue. PLSQL call to AOP. Okay, but so here, yeah, it's Javadoc syntax.
Right.
So, and here we also have like the example.
Yeah.
See? But so we support multiple, like this, not just Javadoc, it's also when you use -- for example, we recognize that as a comment. So there's some stuff going on there. Okay, any questions?
Not here.
Okay, great. So this is documentation. So where can I find documentation? Just install ape. You have the documentation. But yeah, it's true. Then auditing. So here, this is when people say, hey, come and audit my applications. What apps are actually being used? You would be like amazed by all the technical people are gone. The CEO is left or the CTO is left, and they say, well, we have here Apex, but I don't know if it's still being used. Like, how do you track who's using it? Just install ape, give like Apex administrator role to your ape where it is installed. You see everything, who are the top users. So you know who to contact when an application is still being used. You know every app that's being used, every app that's not being used, so which are old and should be removed. Are there still sample apps flying around? People install sample apps and they're just there. But many of the old sample apps of Apex, why don't you ship them anymore? Because they have security issues. So you should remove them. So how many visitors does my public Apex app get? So for example, with AOP, like Jackie is using Ape a lot to see like how is the dashboard going basically. Which are the top users of my app? Is Apex still being used? How was this application created? You can see all that through Ape. You don't even have to go into the code anymore. Okay, any question on auditing?
Not yet.
Okay, then on the SLA part, so who is connected now? How can I see active users? I need to do a patch. When is the best time? Which tables are consuming a lot of space? How is the performance of my Apex app? Are emails stuck? How big is my Apex instance? How many apps do I have? How many people are using it? How is my app performance behaving over time? With more data, is it getting slower? Oh yeah, like this is,
With longer sentences.
why are you laughing? No reason? Well, so, but this happens a lot. Like we create an Apex app, it's in test, people are using it and it runs fast. We go production, the first 2 weeks is fine. And then they say, well, it's wrong, like it's slower. How do you show that it's slower? Like, is it just the network? Like, can be anything. So then we go into Ape, we check, okay, let's see if it's really slower or not. And you just go to the dashboard and here you see it. If you see many spikes or like it's going up, page views, like average load time, medium load time, like.
Right. Does it differentiate between network traffic and building and rendering the page?
No, this is, so is it differentiating between network and rendering page? No, we don't know the network. We cannot track that. So this is pure on the Apex side.
Yeah.
How long did it take to do something?
Okay, so it's not, yeah, it's not the time that the page is displayed on the client.
That might, so it's not the time that the page is displayed on the client. That's true. So it might take only 1 second on the here for Apex to render it, but then like the end user might see it very slow.
So there's no load time for like SQL or PL SQL only, performance-wise.
Database activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, so performance-wise of SQL and PL SQL, you see which page is being slow, then you go into that page, you would look at the page and you get the timings in, for example, session flow or any of the other things. You see exactly this region takes so long.
Yeah.
So you can do it that way to see what's going on.
And if you then say that it's too slow, then you can say, well, it's only taking half a second to create the page. So it must be the network, it must be something else.
Yeah, and for example, if like if it's always one user who's complaining, you can check their session compared to other people's session and what do they do, and you might find a bug. There might be something that's killing them. So
Dimitri, I don't want to rush you, but 10 to 6.
yeah, I have only one thing left. So on the SLA, so we are actually focusing. So one of the other areas we want to build is we want to give you like an inbox, which tells you like, hey, you have to check the page 24 because the last 2 weeks this went up. So an alerting mechanism. So now you have to look at the dashboard, you have to interpret it yourself. We will put some AI in this to come up with those kind of things. So this will be not next version, but it's on the longer roadmap of Ape. But you can actually see our roadmap if you go to apexprojecti.com. And I think here at the bottom we have roadmap. So AI identified action points, which suggested fixes for quick reactions. So that's
Is there a way to monitor scheduled jobs?
A way to monitor scheduled jobs. I know we got this request, and let me see if it's already in Ape. I don't think did we already put it in Ape? No, I don't think we at the moment yet. We do have it in another app of us. In AOP, we actually ship a sample application which shows you that. But in here, it's a very good remark. I don't like. I know we have it on the list of things to do, but I don't think it's in yet. So, but there are like, what is it now, 5 or 6 people working on this. So we are quite heavily investing in it. Okay, and then the crazy thing. So, hey, I found a security issue. I played with your URL and I saw a page I think I shouldn't have. Like if you get this message, I can tell you like it's not your best day. And so then what do you do if you get a message like that?
Go home.
Cry, cry, go home. Well, it might be scam. They might not be valid. But so let me show you what you can do.
You should see it here in some kind of.
So if this guy is telling you that he found something, so what you do is you click on the user because you know the user, they logged in. And session 1.6, do I have 1.6?
It's still there.
Where's 1.6? Maybe I don't see 1.6. Sorry?
Yeah. It starts with 1.6?
No, ends.
It ends with 1.6.
Oh, then, so,
But I don't see it here. Maybe I don't have it anymore. But so what I like, what you can do in that case, or what I did in that case, I basically use this to see how did they use the app. And then like, I should be able to do this now.
Tamper to URL.
Yes, you can see it.
Okay.
You can really see it. So here I'm 6.4. Can I see 6.4? Oh, here's 6.4. Okay, let's see what I did here. Maybe. So one of the things that I think is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. Okay, so this is what happened. So the customer tells, like, we are really worried that somebody took our customers. And so this is why in this, if you look in this application, we disable downloads in this interactive report. So there's no download here. And we have a rule in Ape, like I can go there. Let me go in the other tab here. We have a rule in Ape which basically checks for every interactive report that we disable downloads, because it's very easy to forget. So there's a rule somewhere, like, I don't know if we called it download or something else. Interactive reports cannot be downloaded. So we added the rule, but of course, like just I did the price calculator, I forgot to, for example, add a page group. We forgot the download of this app is not yet live, right? So, but it came up, like management said, like, hey, we don't want that. Okay, yeah, it's true. Okay, we will exclude it, but I wanted to know, did they actually do the download? And so what you can do now is, okay, I need to go back to my other tab. So I played a session of that test user and I say, okay, are you speaking the truth? And what did you do? So here I see customer list, and it's an Ajax process. And here I see that they download a CSV file with all the customers. And this is my proof that they actually went away with the customers.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And here's the Excel.
Is it also, because I got the idea that you were saying that someone was on a page, did some action and got on another page, which he should not come.
Yeah, okay. So this is URL tampering. So what I just showed is I downloaded something which I shouldn't have. But let's say you came to this page when you shouldn't have come to this page. But I didn't really show that. But Ape will show it to you too. So it will show you the page that the person tried to do, and it will show like invalid authorization scheme. Invalid authorization scheme. So you see that they tampered the URL, and then of course, like they hit this URL.
Yeah.
And then they find this page which has the customers on it, and then they can download that. Okay. So I didn't show the first part because I didn't do it all the. But this is how I went with this crazy question.
Yeah.
Okay, so any question? We have 3 minutes left. I stayed within the thing.
Very good.
Version requirements?
18.1 and above. Apex 18.1 and above.
Prices?
2,500 euro for 1 year.
Yes.
But you have a free version.
There's a free personal edition, yes. So when you go to the website, you actually see, so free personal use license, and then you have a professional use license. So for your own projects, like little things that you're doing outside your work, you can use the free version. If you're using inside your like employer, you should have like a license, but like 2,500 euro for all the value that you get. I think this should be a no-brainer, but who am I to say that?
Yes.
As developers, indeed, we would say yes. There are people who are looking at the
If they ask you to generate the documentation, like, and you're a freelancer, you say, okay, it will cost me 3 weeks to do the documentation. Let's say you have 600 a day, like that's 3,000
I know.
a week. 3 weeks, it's 9,000. You buy the license and you give them the documentation we generate for you, and you earned 6,500 euro. No, but it's like it's
2 weeks holiday and right. Yeah.
no, but it's so simple.
It's true.
It is.
It's a business case.
And this is just documentation. What about security? What about best practices? Like, so we try to make it like a no-brainer, but again, like, I don't know, if you tell us like it should be nothing, well, we'll see how much we invest in it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening.
Dimitri,
Yeah?
Dimitri, can you stop the video?
Hi.